This is going to be an update video on the xr100 Rm80 engine swap. Since the last video, I bought a parts bike, an xr80, and that's where I got the exhaust from. It's also where I got the shifter and the kickstart that's on it. And the main thing that I needed off of it is the coil right here, because it's a special coil. It's not a regular 6-volt coil that would be on a dirt bike. It's actually has a special thing on it. You see right there, a condenser on the back side of it. But I put all the plastics on it, and I had to move the tank up a bit to clear the engine right here. And I took a heat gun and molded in the gas tank a little bit right there. And I molded in a bit here, but it blackened the tank from the heat of the heat gun. It runs pretty well. My wood started up, but it's like 1 o'clock right now, so I don't want to wake anybody up. I changed out the fork fluid and put these boots on here because the fork seals were leaking pretty bad. I think it was just dirt that was trapped in the seal, because it seems like they haven't been leaking at all now. I had to, I don't know if you can see it there or not, but the clutch perch piece is mounted right here. It's just a piece of metal. I got this off that parts bike, and then the cable just connects to it. And there was already a tab on the frame. I just had to move the brake reservoir back. Not sure if you can see it in there, but I just moved the brake reservoir back and bolted the clutch perch on it with a really long bolt. Put the brake reservoir behind it. Now, this carburetor I got off eBay. It was $20. Came with the air filter on it. And the intake right here, you can probably tell, this intake is on a really steep angle down. I just welded up I cut out 2 flanges and welded a piece of pipe to both of them. And then this hose right here is just a radiator hose that I cut down a little bit, and that seems to work really well. I had to add a spring inside it because it was collapsing under the vacuum of the engine. The exhaust is just a factory xr80 exhaust. I just had to fold this tab down a little bit so it wouldn't melt the seat. The fender was cracked across here. It's cracked all the way under the seat. I just zip tied it. But it runs really well. It shifts through all the gears. The front brakes weren't working. I had to switch out this piece right here, this reservoir and the hose. The old one got water in it and it was all rusted. Wouldn't move at all. And this clutch perch right here and lever is off my other 100. It's a much easier pull than a factory one. I put a standard 420 chain on it, and I think the sprockets are 428 sprockets, so I'm gonna have to switch that out pretty soon here. Yeah, I need to get a new rear axle and a new rim for it. I've been looking on Craigslist to see if I can find one. I just put a piece of threaded rod for the rear axle. Just a piece of 1/2-inch threaded rod. And the rear rim, the spokes, a lot of the spokes are broken. And the aluminum rim part is twisted. So I need to see if it's worth buying a whole new rim, which I think is what I'm going to end up doing. Or if I should just buy the outer part and spokes and relace it. But it runs pretty well. Haven't had any problems with the engine yet. I plan on making a different exhaust for it, because right now there's no way that you could fit a side panel on here because it sticks out pretty far. Another thing is this shield that's on here heats up a lot. It's right up against your leg. It's right there. And that heats up really hot right here. I think that's everything that I've done to it since the last update. Oh, I added this skid plate on here. And I made these mounts for it right here. These engine mounts right here off, they're the top engine mounts off a 250R. But they have the right bend in them. I'm not sure if you can see it back there. They actually have quite a bit of a curve. They're not flat pieces of aluminum. They're flat and then they curve in. So this part is flat and it curves in. And then I cut out a bushing for in there. So bushing between them. But it runs really well. I've been riding it around a bit. Just starting to test things out, see what it needs. I'm going to need to do quite a bit to it still. I plan on getting a DRZ 125 gas tank and just putting a regular Rm80 silencer on it and then connecting it to the exhaust right here. If you have any questions about this, just put it in the comments section and I'll answer it as soon as I can. But I think I've covered everything since the last update, because I really haven't done too much to it. And another thing I did was I took the rear shock off. I drained the fluid out of it and put new fluid in it, which was pretty difficult actually, because I had to undo the preload to get the fluid out, because you can't just drain one of these shocks. It'll stay in the shock body. Trying to think if there's anything I left out. Yeah, I think that's all that I've done since the last update. If you have any questions about it, like I said, you can just put them in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as I can. So please comment, like, and subscribe.